Today in crypto, what would be better to buy right now? 1 Bitcoin or 32 Ethereum? Well, this video will break down some of the reasons why you would want to consider either one of these, as well as give you my answer of what I would do if faced with such a decision. My name is Lark, and this is where you subscribe for all of the hottest and all of the latest happening out here in the wild, wild land of crypto. Also, if you are new to cryptocurrency and you still need help figuring out all of the basics like how to buy Bitcoin, how to buy Ethereum, how do you store them safely, how do you send them safely, how do you mine cryptocurrency, as well as other top tips for success, things like how to build a portfolio, and much, much more, then check out my beginner's course, Cryptocurrency Explained. It's going to walk you through all of these basics along with a whole bunch of other stuff. There's a link down below in the description where you can find out more about that course. Okay, so let's just get this clear from the start of this conversation. I own Bitcoin, I own Ethereum. In fact, I own them at around a rate of 2 to 1 in favor of Bitcoin, so about twice as much in value as Bitcoin as I do Ethereum. Personally, I see both of these as long-term holds. I'm very excited about both of them, but if you had that gun to your head situation and you had to choose one, the question of, do you secure your Bitcoin moon ticket and buy that 1 Bitcoin, or do you get your 32 Ethereum to run a node and get staking rewards in ETH 2.0? Which one would you choose? Well, I will tell you my answer for that in a few minutes, but first, I want to break down some of the ideas and reasoning running through my head when thinking about this conversation. And please, if you do feel triggered at any point during this conversation that we're about to have, then let me know about it down below in the comment section. That is the place to cool off. But this is my honest opinion of the current state of affairs of Bitcoin and of Ethereum. And unfortunately, these kind of conversations can be sometimes met with aggressive attacks and responses. So it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. So let's start off with talking about innovation. Bitcoin, it was a major innovation in money, and it still is a major innovation in money. And actually, we can thank Bitcoin for literally the entire cryptocurrency economy. It was the original blockchain, and everything else has followed after it. But unfortunately, not a lot of innovation has been happening with Bitcoin recently. We had our most recent big upgrade, which was SegWit back in 2017. And that was nice. But it was nice in 2017. Not a lot substantial has happened since then. Current proposals for Taproot and for Schnorr signatures. That would have also been nice. Not game-changing, but nice. Maybe back in 2018 or something like that. But the reality is that neither of those things have been implemented. We're unlikely to see either of those things implemented at any point this year. We might not even see them happen in 2021. And that is about where it stops for coming innovation for Bitcoin. Yeah, there'll be more things in the pipeline as the years go on, but not a lot is happening. Bitcoin development, it is spearheaded by incredibly conservative and adversarial factions that are unlikely to be able to agree to bring any truly game-changing innovations to Bitcoin anytime soon, which, at the same time, Bitcoin's kind of working as it is, so it doesn't need a lot of extra bells and whistles. Those would be nice, but we're not going to get them anytime soon. By contrast, Ethereum is an absolute hotbed of innovation, both on the main chain and in regards to the token economy around it. Ethereum right now is working on multiple major game-changing upgrades, including sharding, including proof of stake, and including WebAssembly, which will make it a much more internet-friendly blockchain. Now, although these upgrades have seen some major delays and they will not be fully implemented for a few years still, they will nevertheless be impactful when they do come out. But I think the truth is this: Bitcoin does not need to have a strong digital economy built around it outside of centralized exchanges. It doesn't need that token economy. Ethereum, it was built for this kind of economy. It has NFTs and tokens and DEXs and DAOs and DeFi and gaming and real estate and bonds and dozens of other use cases. And you know what? That's okay. It's okay for them to do different things because they're not the same. Bitcoin does not, and in my opinion should not, do all the things that Ethereum does. And the glacier-like adoption of rootstock, which would potentially bring a token economy to Bitcoin, I think is actually really the market confirming that it's not super interested in bringing this to Bitcoin either. Yes, there'll be some things built on rootstock, but it's never going to rival what Ethereum currently has, let alone what Ethereum will have in a few years. Let Bitcoin just be digital gold. Plain, simple, easy, elegant. Let's not try to make Bitcoin into something that it is not. And that brings us on to the next part of this conversation, which is scaling. Now, Bitcoin on-chain transactions are already seeing price spikes with a standard transaction costing around $3 to $6, depending on the day that you look at it, but that's kind of been where it's fluctuating between recently. This is unfortunately going to increase probably dramatically when the bull run really heats up and a lot of people start moving Bitcoin around. And Ethereum, unfortunately, is also seeing massive fee spikes, especially for anything smart contract related. The fees can be totally crazy to the point where it's nuts. But Ethereum, unlike Bitcoin, I think has a better path towards addressing these issues with sharding at layer 1, which would fundamentally alter the scalability of the blockchain at the base layer. And it also has around a dozen different layer 2 scaling solutions, which are all very interesting. Many of them are seeing a big uptick in adoption. And you might say, hey, wait, Lark, come on here. What about the Bitcoin Lightning Network? Look, the Bitcoin Lightning Network, it's very interesting, but at this point, it's really not being adopted at a very big rate either. Yes, there are some games. Yes, there's a little bit of merchant adoption. Yes, we have the Strike app, which could drive some renewed interest in the Lightning Network. Those are all good things. But in order for Lightning to really be successful, there is a major hurdle that needs to be overcome, and that is actually needing to convince people to spend their Bitcoin, which people don't really want to do. They don't want to spend their Bitcoin on a coffee or even on a medium-sized purchase. And look, to be clear, I think that Lightning can and will do well in the long run as a payment rail for Bitcoin, but is ironically a slow road for adoption considering the reticent nature of people to actually spend their Bitcoin. By contrast, Ethereum has Rollups and OMG and Seller and Matic and Raiden and about half a dozen other scaling solutions. Some of those are already starting to make a big splash with Matic, for example, which just announced Layer 2 DeFi solutions, so that's really big. Others like OMG, they just signed a big deal with the most popular stablecoin Tether to run dollars across the OMG network, so that's all really exciting stuff. And anyway, does high fees dampen my spirits in regard to Bitcoin? No, it does not. I have a very sober understanding of Bitcoin's limitations and layer 2 scaling solutions. They're cool, but honestly, digital gold can have high fees. It can be slow. It doesn't really matter that much. You buy your Bitcoin, you hold your Bitcoin, you chill. It's a store of value. It's the most secure computer network on earth. And it has the most interest from the institutional investor class who could really care less about having to pay $5 or even $10 in fees to move their Bitcoin from point A to point B. So perhaps the scaling conversation for Bitcoin in particular, it really doesn't even matter that much anymore. I think it's much more relevant for Ethereum though, because the network fulfills a much broader range of use cases and is actually going to require more scalability. It already requires more scalability and is definitely going to require more in the future. Right now, those high fees on chain, they're actually pricing non-rich users out of the hottest trending crypto right now, DeFi. Okay, now let's talk about scarcity. Quite simply, Ethereum is not digital gold. And if your only interest in blockchain technology is digital gold, then Bitcoin is for you. You don't need to look any farther. You're done. You don't need to pay attention to the Cambrian level event explosion of financial technology, which is currently under development outside of Bitcoin. All the interesting use cases, all the interesting technology, you can just ignore all that stuff. But if you're interested in hundreds of use cases outside of just the digital gold narrative, then Ethereum is very much worth paying attention to, because although its economic model is different and often misunderstood, it's also a very robust and interesting economic model. Ethereum has a policy of minimum necessary issuance with no hard cap. Currently, inflation is around 4.5% annually. After Ethereum 2.0 phase 1.5 comes out, it will drop down to around 0.5%. There's also a proposal called EIP 1559, which will introduce fee burning. possibly making Ethereum a deflationary cryptocurrency, which would be very game-changing. But for Bitcoin, it's just so much more simple. Maximum 21 million Bitcoin ever, hard-coded scarcity, simple to understand. Every 4 years, like clockwork, the emission schedule sees a 50% cut. There are around 4 million Bitcoin already lost permanently, meaning that you, me, your friends, your neighbors, companies, both big and small, banks, macro investors, millionaires, billionaires, hedge funds, private funds, and probably soon even central banks, along with a whole bunch of other different players, they are all competing to get their hands on this tiny, tiny amount of Bitcoin that is available. And with so many hodlers last resort, that's getting harder and harder to do, especially at any larger amounts. The game theory of digital scarcity, it's insane. Now, some people, they do like to paint Bitcoin and Ethereum as enemies, but the reality for Bitcoin is that it is not in the same playing field as Ethereum. They do different things. In fact, we can see the growth of Bitcoin wrapped on Ethereum as actually a closening of the relationship between these two ecosystems, and that really, Bitcoin and Ethereum, they're better off together. It's not Highlander. There will not just be one blockchain to rule them all. Anyway, after hearing all this, you might think maybe I've been a bit harsh at times, but these are investments. Let's be straight up. Let's not sugarcoat it. So my final answer, which one would I buy if I had a gun to my head and was forced to choose? Well, I would buy Bitcoin. Why? Because it is the surest bet in crypto. I buy and hold Bitcoin fully aware of its limitations. I like to be honest about those limitations, even if sometimes other people might not be. I am super bullish on Bitcoin, but I'm also super bullish on Ethereum. And thankfully, I don't have a gun to my head. I do have the luxury of owning both Bitcoin and Ethereum. And it's fantastic. I love it. I'm super excited about Ethereum. I think the innovation on Ethereum is just amazing. So many exciting things happening over there, but I also like digital gold, so that's cool. And as I said, I have twice as much Bitcoin as I do Ethereum. I buy Bitcoin regularly. I bank a portion of my profits from flipping altcoins into Bitcoin as well. I really couldn't imagine being a cryptocurrency investor and not owning any Bitcoin. So if you're faced with that life or death decision to buy one Bitcoin or to buy 32 Ethereum, what would you do? Anyway, those are just my 2 satoshis. You can let me know your answer to that question down below. If you had to buy one Bitcoin or 32 Ethereum, somebody's just going to give you those, which would you choose? Maybe it doesn't have to be so dramatic as having a gun to your head to make that decision, but let me know which you'd choose down below and why. Long live the blockchain, and peace out till next time.